Hola, hola. We are back. We are live and free on the Bamboo Languages YouTube channel. I'm Bryson, the founder of Bamboo Languages, and we have our expert Spanish instructor, Mariana, who has joined us today. Can we give her a round of applause? We'll introduce Mariana a little bit later, but previously we've done some English live streams in particular for TOEFL and IELTS. This one, as you can see, is for the SIELE exam, and we're excited to kind of bring a different perspective for our exam preparation and ultimately add some value to you, our community and students. So, with that being said, here is our agenda. We'll do a quick high level of who we are, and then we'll walk through the exam best tips, tricks, and practices, and also answer your questions at the end and discuss a little bit more about the kind of like best test day management, best resources for help, things to that extent. Before we get started, we got the limited edition bamboo hoodie here. Not for sale, but if you're interested, you could comment below. We might be able to find a hookup for you. Um, Speaking of that, Bamboo was founded with the idea that language is best learned in community and through conversation. And so that's what we look to do while giving back to the community. And that's kind of why we're here today, to give back and connect with our language learners. We have three tiers within our platform. We might have time for a presentation at the end where we can demo the platform, but we have a free tier for any language student who wants to join, can create a group, a language group, and create virtual meetups and events to practice via video call with other language learners. So if Mariana created a Spanish group, I could join and we could practice just like this. Second would be our instructor-led tier. And Mariana does a great job of that, where we create language groups and students are able to join for more of a structured feedback. And then third, and very closely aligned to what we're discussing today, would be the exam preparation program, where we want to really connect with our more committed learners who are studying for exam for university enrollment or potentially employment opportunities. That's a third tier of what we might offer. So that's just a brief high level. Obviously, the exam package is closely aligned to what we're talking about today, and we're excited that you're here. So the best part about it is you get what you pay for. It's free, and we're excited to hear and happy to get started. So with that being said, let's give a big round of applause to Mariana, our certified Spanish instructor. Would you give just a little high level overview of your experience and a little bit more about your background in languages?
Sure. My name is Mariana, as Bryson introduced me. I'm from Mexico City. I have a BA in Spanish language and literature, and I've been teaching Spanish as a second language for almost 10 years now. So, in these years, I've helped like several students from all over the world to perfect their Spanish and for different purposes like traveling, just like making friends, presenting tests like SIELE or DELE. So
Hmm.
that's what we are going to talk a little bit more about today, specifically about this specific test
Yeah,
named SIELE and our experiences. Bryson will also share a little bit of his experience doing the test.
yeah.
So let's go into it.
You heard it here first, guys. Over 10 years of experience and great experience helping students like you achieve your goals. So you're in the right spot. I happen to actually take the exam, as Mariana said, as well, because I'm a native English speaker studying to learn Spanish and become fluent myself. So I'll be able to add some tips and tricks as we come across them. With that being said, let's get started with understanding Sele. Mariana, would you be able to take it away for us?
Yeah, for sure. So SIELE is exam. I actually maybe you could help me on this. I feel it's kind of similar to the IELTS like in a way that it's, as it says here, it's like a multi-level exam. So in one exam, you can test the level of your Spanish and get certified just by doing this only one exam. um,
Yeah, yeah. It is very similar. There's four modules. It's not a pass or fail, more so test the level of your fluency. And it goes from A1 to C1 is where it stops. So
mhm.
beginner to fluent or proficient. And yeah, sorry to interrupt there, but I wanted to agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. So another thing I like about SIELE over DELE, DELE is DELE is the oldest exam that there is to certify Spanish, but DELE is very focused on Spanish from Spain. No, the institution that made DELE is Instituto Cervantes, which is like fully like in Spain. But SIELE was like a collaboration between different institutions all over like the Hispanic world, Spain and Latin America. So it makes it like more comprehensive, like around all the varieties of Spanish that exist like nowadays. So that's something that it's really helpful for students, where it doesn't matter if you learn Spain from Spanish or in Puerto Rico or Mexican Spanish, you can still do this test, and it's like there's no difference. Like it, I could say, might be easier than going to do a exam that is going to be fully Spanish from Spain and you learn the Spanish in Mexico. So then I would recommend doing SIELE instead. And like Bryson said, it's like these four modules: reading comprehension, listening comprehension, written, and oral expression. Something else that I really like about SIELE is that there are different formats you can do. So you can choose like global SIELE, like doing an exam that lasts around 3 hours and a half, presenting the four modules. But for some like universities or for professional like purposes, you can also choose presenting only one, two, or three, like per module. So, for example, for some jobs, I've had students that they tell me like, oh, like for my job, they only want me to certify like I have the oral expression and interaction. No, I interact with Hispanic people, so all I need to do is like be able to actually talk with them. I don't write, I don't read, so I just need to have the oral expression like certified. So then we only focus on that. So that's a good thing about SIELE. You can choose like doing the whole thing or just one of one, two, or three, or from the modules.
Definitely, definitely. It's kind of to your point there. It's flexible, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like most students look for that flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
One, they might not need everything like you mentioned for the job, or they are working professionals and don't have the time to go to a physical location. They prefer the
Mm-hmm.
3 hour global exam at home and are able to do that. So all beneficial and all reasons why you might be interested in that one over the Delhi. No offense,
Mm-hmm.
Taylor.
No. So here we have some like general tips for success that I mean could apply for also any kind of exam of this type, like language certification exams. So understanding the exam format, that is something that we do at our course prep, like really looking into the sections, the kind of exercise that you will find in SIELE, like the tasks that you are asked to do. So then building vocabulary with academic and general Spanish words, that's important, like because it's a multi-level like exam, and to have like very well built vocabulary so you can go through all the sections like with
Yeah,
success. Improving grammar, that's something also we do at our courses, doing like all kinds of exercises and having like these model tests so you can really see what is going to come for you in the exam. So regular practice, And the last two, which are really good tips, like manage time effectively. So SIELE, it's a time measured exam, not only globally, but sometimes for tasks, you have to be very well, organized with times, because they give you like, hey, 10 minutes, you have to do this task, or you have even 30 seconds to read the text and then answer the questions. So this is like a good tip, like managing time effectively and staying calm.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like if time's not managed effectively, you might not be the most calm, at least speaking for myself. So those two definitely go hand in
Mhm.
hand, and agreed with you. Agreed. Now we can get to reading here. I believe that's the first one of the global exam, at least.
See, actually, in the presentation, I think we did that, no? So we have the four sections, and in the same order that usually has the exam. So the first one is reading comprehension. So some good tips we have here is like a scheme for main ideas in various text types. So usually the tasks go from like a basic level to like a more complicated and longer texts. So I guess here you would also be very attentive to the instructions. So the instructions will tell you what are the ideas that you have to skim in quickly, so you can also like get enough time to answer properly. Identifying keywords, synonyms, signal words, that's also like a really good tip. um, Scan for specific details. So, for example, a good tip here is if you have to some multiple choice, like questions that you can read first the answers, the words that come in there, and then go back to the text quickly so to see where they fit. Practice time reading to enhance the speed and comprehension. That's also like a good tip, especially if you're going for a like a higher level, like if you want to get like a B1, B2, C1, the texts are much longer, so you have to be sure and safe that you can read these longer, more complicated texts like time efficiently. And of course, yeah, distinguish between facts and opinions. So studying, for example, vocabulary related with linking words, discourse markers help in this area. Now,
Um,
just quickly, we will see some examples I added to the slides.
Yeah, agreed with that, by the way. I think practicing, it'll be a consistent theme throughout the presentation, but practicing it in a way that is similar to what you'll see on the test. So if you have a short reading passage that's two or three paragraphs and you have 5 minutes to read it, time yourself to practice that, and that way you feel more comfortable and understand what will be there on the exam, but also helps you manage some of that. Uh, some of that test day anxiety, as we touched on a little bit. So,
Mhm.
here are some examples that you mentioned.
So I think this was the only section I put like two tasks from the ones that come in the exam, like the easiest and one of the hardest. So this, for example, is around like A1, A2 level. So you can see the text is super short. For example, with a question like this, I would recommend, sorry, to read first the question, like Pedro dice que en el concierto hay diferentes cantantes, quiere ir al concierto el lunes, ya no hay entradas para el concierto, and then I would go to the text to search for the answer. Mhm.
I might have been muted there. Sorry for that. Have you experienced folks who've worked with a practice prompt like this? Has that been successful for them in the exam?
Um, I think so, yes. It has been, in a way that it helps also to solve the task like quicker if you do it that way.
Hmm. Definitely. And this is a great one, and from my memory, something very similar to what you might encounter there on the exam. Here's a second one here that you had selected for us.
And this one is from the last ones that are like kind of harder. This is actually, I just got it like the beginning of the text, no? So, for example, the last tasks, like as we said, that this is a multi level exams that goes from the easiest to the hardest. So, this one is just the beginning, and it's like a, I don't remember, like 5 or 6 paragraphs long test text. And so this is more about vocabulary. So here I would think the same, no? So it's reading the title. I guess reading the title already gives you an idea of what is going to be about. And then it's just choosing the right words. So also I would say that going through the ones you are sure first, it's also very like time efficient, and leaving at the end the ones you don't know. So for example, if me as a student, I go through question number one and I say like, oh, I'm not sure what this word means, el de tan solo 1 grado centígrado en la temperatura, but maybe I don't know the meaning of these words and it's something I will need to give a little bit more time to think, then I would go to the next sentence and so on. So here we have, it's more about not only vocabulary but knowing like articles, and here it's also like you can also look at some clues, for example, like adjectives that match the noun that goes before. So variadas, específicas, persistentes. So here they are talking about species, and then that also helps you to find the right word.
Agreed. And again, for not being a native speaker myself, I found that context clues are huge here. So you mentioned some articles. It's important to look at if there's, for example, masculine and feminine articles that
Mhm,
match up, and plural and singular as well. So even if you
mhm,
might not know the word, some of those tools and context clues might help you with that.
mhm,
Listening's an interesting one, especially when there are different accents involved. It's important to practice on all the different accents that you can, and obviously at native speed. But I'm not the expert. Mariana is. What would you recommend for listening comprehension?
See, actually, for this CLA is one of the exams that on the listening section you will hear accents from many different places. So again, yeah, focus on main ideas, identify the speaker's purpose. Those are really good tips. Recognize organizational structure. Again, like being very attentive to the instructions. So sometimes in the instructions you will know what you're looking at, or what you're looking at to hear on the audios. So you will like pay attention to the words, no, that you want to recognize, like as it says here. Pay attention to tone also. Sometimes maybe some tasks could ask if like if the speaker is like angry, or if like even that could be part of the exam. Be aware of distractors and paraphrasing. Yeah, try to mm, like to find like what's the main idea of the message of the speaker.
Hmm. Agreed. And I think that for me personally, and some of these modules in particular, listening, w- sometimes they're not going to discuss topics that you're necessarily familiar with. It might be a
Mm-hmm.
presentation from like a scientific conference or something to that extent. And
Mm-hmm.
so those distractors definitely are present because you might not know what they're talking about in the sense that you understand scientific theory. And so you get confused on the topic, but you really should be paying attention to some of the key focus areas. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's what Mariana was meaning with watch out for distractors. So don't let that confuse you and focus
Mm-hmm.
on the main point, and that should certainly help you achieve a better score there.
Mhm. So I think here I didn't put the like there's no audio, but there's an example of a task you would find in the exam. And for example, this is like the number two, so we know that it's not the most basic, but there it's kind of easy one. So this one was to listen to five like radio news, and you have to so you will listen to the whole like thing, and then you have to choose sort of the main idea of the ath, or sometimes it's a phrase that it's actually on the audio. So for example it says ath 1, si llama a la radio puede, and then there are three options. No, if you call to the radio, what can you happen? And then, so for this one, I really recommend, like as the instruction says, you have 30 seconds to read the questions. So try to especially read the first part, like si llama a la radio puede. So that you know that this is what you're want to pay attention to, no? So what can you do if you go to the radio? Then you will listen and be paying attention. Okay, that's what I need to know in here. So reading like this is especially important, no? Like the questions.
Yes, agreed. And you have a limited amount of time to do that, as Marianne mentioned, but being able to review those questions in advance helps you frame the response you're listening to and respond quicker, opposed to just hearing it fresh for the first time and then trying to understand context and then trying to understand
Mhm.
what's the best answer. So if you kind of work through the format that Mariana suggested, it'll help you out in it. And you're well on your way to achieving that C1 score that we all want. In fact, I think I might just rename this live stream "How to Achieve a C1" in SIELE. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. If you want to change it, put it in the comments there. But let's see if we have the next section, which is speaking, essentially oral expression interaction. Um, as I touched on earlier with our focus in Bamboo, focused on conversation, listening, and speaking, how can you apply language in the real world? And so this section is very applicable to that. Marianne, any suggestions and best practices that help the Spanish student succeed in this area?
Well, I think that especially in this area is where like bamboo can help the best, because it's exactly what we do here, like practice the speaking part. So here it says like engaging in a recorded speaking section. Yeah, that's in this it's some there are different tasks, but some of them can be like sort of role play, like if you want to go to the dentist or asking for something at a restaurant. And that's exactly what we try to do at Bamboo with the conversation groups, like role playing games, talk about many different like topics. And as it says in here, not trying to speak clearly, fluently, try to use a range of vocabulary and grammar structures. And I guess the best way to achieve like this level of fluency speaking is actually speaking in your everyday, like trying to practice as much as possible in your everyday like Spanish studying,
Mhm.
and then you will be fine in this area.
Agreed. And I think that for me personally, when working through the prompts, they have a couple of different prompts that you would respond to. Um, some, and I'm sure we'll see it here in a little bit on specific experiences and exercises for the exam, like practice exercises. Some are very quick. They'll say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
describe where you're from, what city, to one sentence response.
Mm-hmm.
Some require more extended responses from the student. And so for me, they give you some time to actually write down your thoughts and organize how you want to
Mm-hmm.
respond. I found that it's beneficial to write down a few bullet points on the key items that you want to touch in that response. And that way you're not rambling through the response, and you can have a very clear and concise response um, for the proctor there in the exam. I ramble in English, and it gets way worse in Spanish. So I need to organize my thoughts and make sure that we could achieve the score that we're looking for. So follow these tips, and you will achieve the C1.
Mm-hmm. See,
Here's an
so this
example of
is,
what we mentioned.
yeah, this is one of like the in between, like not that short, but also not that long. That is the ones I was mentioning, more like a lot of sort of like role play, and they give you options, so you can even choose like the one you feel more comfortable with. So, for example, here it's like two options, and you have to choose between canceling an appointment with the dentist or buying a car. And they even give you, like as you said, the bullet points are very like useful, and they also even give you the ones that you should like get organized, like apologizing, explaining the reasons why you couldn't go to your dentist appointment, and propose a new date. So then you can even like very quickly like put that on your notes, and then they give you like a minute and a half. So it's actually short. You don't have to do it like really long, and mostly like as a teacher, what we evaluate here is that you are actually like communicating effectively, like that the objective of canceling the appointment is achieved, and then the grammar structures you're using are correct, that you are understood, no, like if this was like a real life thing, that you would actually cancel the appointment and get a new one effectively, and that would be that the task is done.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And I think that with that, as far as like the effective, did you complete the task? Did you cancel the appointment? For me, as a non-native speaker, I found that like connecting phrases have really helped combine thoughts for me. So, like por otro lado, por ejemplo, or some other
Mhm.
examples like that help me transition from one thought to the next, and I don't get lost in the response.
Mhm.
Written expression. I don't mind this one personally because it gives me some time to actually work through the response and not have to respond instantly. But
Mhm.
there's a lot to do here, and so if you don't manage your time effectively, it could hurt you in the actual scoring. But what would you
Mhm.
recommend here, Mariana? What have you seen be successful with the written section?
I recommend here that before going to the written task, like as it says here, like well, first like be pay attention to the task they are asking you to do. If it's an email, an essay, a description. So, for example, I think here there's I don't remember the yeah, yeah, I remember. I think it's like one very basic task. I think there are two, like one very basic, like answering an email about, oh, I went to some holidays and then this
Yeah, yeah.
happened, blah, blah, blah.
Reschedule and confirm,
See,
all
yeah,
that
that
stuff.
one is kind of easy. For that one, I just recommend like really don't get nervous, stay calm, and just like write it as if you were writing a mail to a friend. Maybe here the one more complicated would be, I think it's an opinion text where you have to give an opinion about some like polemic matter. Um, for that, I would recommend to maybe before writing the text to do also like some bullet points, that you remember that any text in any language needs like an introduction, your arguments, and then end with a conclusion, like with a closure. And before going, like before the test, something we can help do is like having very clear all the linking words. Like for this section, it especially helps to even you can have like a little chart with the most like common linking words that help you organize texts, and that will be it's in Spanish we call it acordeones. So when we are like at the primary school, like, and you wanted to do a little cheating, you would do a little accordion, which it was like a little piece of paper where you would write like the main information that you know that you would help you at the exam. But sometimes just the task of being at home, like doing this little accordion, it would help you to go to the exam and you already had it. You actually didn't need to take it out and cheat. So that's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. No, there's no way cheating in these exams, but to do the homework of studying some like key points that can help you nailing this written section, like learning the most important linking words in Spanish.
Agreed. Not that we condone cheating, like she said, but if you happen to do it, it might help. It might help.
This
Here
is
is
one of the
the written section
examples,
here.
the one I was saying, like it's an opinion text. So introducing the topic, giving your opinion, giving arguments, and a conclusion. So that's what I was saying. Like linking words, like I swear they really help.
Agreed. And you see there's 250 to 300 words, so it's not
Mhm.
a short one. But obviously, you're not writing 2 or 3 pages. They just want to make sure that you kind of hit the key points and follow that structure that she was
Mhm.
mentioning with introduction, body, conclusion. Obviously, supporting points
Mhm.
are helpful there. Practice, practice, practice. We mentioned this earlier. The
Mhm.
only way, or one of the best ways to achieve your success, is practicing in a way that it emulates what you see on the exam. Obviously, we touched on timing yourself, different prompts. Marianne, anything else you can think of or that you've seen be successful with specific practice for exams?
Mm. Well, I think this summarizes very well what we've been saying, no? Like doing practice tests, understanding the question types, improving time management. I don't know if I can think of something else, like maybe coming to Bamboo to get ready.
There we go. I didn't want to say it, but she said it. So if you happen to come hang out with us, we'll be able to make sure that you get your practice in and meet some cool people and
Mhm.
expert instructors. So that definitely does help. And we'll make a little pitch at the end here. But speaking of preparation, test time management is huge.
Mhm.
We mentioned things like timing yourself and responding, or maybe even recording your verbal oral response. There's some other things here that kind of just are housekeeping. Prioritize a good night's sleep. You don't want to show up
Mhm.
tired on test day. Pace yourself. Familiarize yourself with the format of the computer. Like I personally did it remotely, and so you want to make sure you can test out the software and it's working before the test day. If
Mhm.
you don't, obviously you spend money for a test and you're not able to take it. So we don't want to do that. Make sure you test it in advance
Mhm.
and have your ID and things ready so they can verify you. I think Mariana might recommend having your accordion with you to cheat, but I don't know if you can do that. What else would you recommend for us?
um, yeah, I think it. I really recommend that even before, like, if you want to go through like a prep course, one of the first things I would recommend is to actually trying to do one of these like model tests to see which sections are the hardest ones for you, which parts you feel like you're more like weak and you want to improve. So you can focus on preparing on those areas before your test.
Yeah, agreed. They have, which we can actually get into here, the SIELE help. They
Mhm.
have on the website a practice exam that you can go through. Now, you obviously can test it and see if you're weak in certain areas. However, they don't change the questions. Like it's not actually what you might experience on the exam, more so the format. But it gives you an
Mhm.
idea of how you can time yourself and what kind of level is actually going to be assessed there. There's also some free resources and websites that you can do for other practice exams. Anything
Mhm.
in particular that come to mind, Mariana, that you might think um, we didn't mention, but any specific website outside of Bamboo that you could practice with that has been helpful for you?
Um, I found this website called profedl.com. They have also like some sample questions for SIELE and the
Hmm.
four modules that you can. It's free and you can use them just to practice. But I think even if you go to Google and you put like SIELE like sample questions, they will give you. There's like a bunch of free resources that you can practice with
Hmm.
for free. And I don't know, maybe there are some books too. Uh,
Hmm.
I think all that you can find in Google, it's easily accessible for everyone.
Yeah, agreed. I think those resources are fantastic. Something I used personally when I was studying for it. One thing you can't emulate would be the live feedback from an expert. So I
Mhm.
studied with an expert, things like how do you fix those connecting words, or are you using the right verb tense? Just practicing speaking without translating from your native language is also helpful.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think we're running out of time. If you have questions, drop it in the chat here. But along the lines of what you might be able to experience with that feedback would be what we have here. And I'll show you a quick presentation in particular on Mariana's page because she's done a great job with not only preparing students, but walking us through these slides here. And I think that she's really giving you a chance to see what it takes to be successful and what you might be able to encounter if you work with her as a tutor. But one of the resources that we have available here during the exam prep program would be a customized approach to your language level. So some folks are B1 but need a B2, maybe B2 and need a C1. What we do here is meet with you personally, understand your language level and your language goals, and come up with a customized learning plan for you. We then would have one-to-one classes uh, throughout the month. We have 10 of them. And then we have unlimited group conversation classes. And so the idea is that you would have one-to-one lessons with your instructor and practice what you learned with the community in that feedback that we mentioned. And so that's just a high level. If you have attended the live stream and are interested, we'll follow up via email with a special offer to help you kind of help encourage you to join a special discount offer. And with that being said, I'd like to actually present what it looks like in our platform, show you how to achieve language success, and opt into uh, the program. We have here just a high level, which I could also share later, kind of why you might want to choose us versus another language provider. But two things to remember are our website here, www.bamboo.co. That's two M's, two U's, and CO. No COM, just CO. And then if you want specifically the exam preparation piece, same thing, /exam hyphen prep. Now, what I would do with our short time remaining here would be present a page for you, and you have to let me know if you can see it. But we'll go to the home page for Bamboo. All students can sign up free, as I mentioned. Um, a good opportunity for you to take a look would be right here. So we'll add this here. This is what it looks like from the home page for any student. Um, Obviously, if you wanted to come through and check the left screen, you can see the language experts, like you mentioned, the groups you might want to join, or in particular exam preparation. If we want to go to language experts, we can use Spanish here and navigate to Mariana's profile, one of our featured all-star instructors, like I mentioned. Um, she doesn't have any classes just yet, but we do have those weekly, right? They're in high demand. Hop in and join one if you're interested. Um, Here's a quick note. Certified SIELE Prepare. I told you, folks, we have a certified preparer with us today. So you're in good company. Quick introduction video, but it's as easy as this. Navigate to a profile, click on the preparation program, and then book an introductory call. July is running out. So let's take a look at August. And we have two slots that are currently available for the next 2 days. I'm sure Mariana will update availability as it becomes available. But it's easy as that. Pop in and join. If you want to come out and hang and look for potentially English instructors, we have some here. If you want to join another group, you can come join a group and let's say want to practice. Let's maybe join my free group. We have something called the Spanish English Language Exchange Group with 141 people. Come hang out. Let me know when is your preferred class time, and we'll create one for you to come join and practice language with us. But just want to give a quick high level and tie it together and show you kind of how we go from I want to pass the SIELE, I need a C1, best tips, tricks, and ways to do it, and then obviously a program to help you do it with Bamboo. So thank you guys again for coming to join us in our live stream. As I mentioned, if you pre-registered, we'll follow up with a discount code, especially for you. Mariana, for the first live stream for our Spanish exam, I thought it went great. How'd you think it went?
It went great. It went great.
Perfect, perfect. All right. With that being said, we're going to log off here, and I will see you next time.
See you next time.